Well, let's begin here. Noel Monk. I mean, you've done some interesting work. First, with the Sex Pistols, the book there, and now Running with the Devil. How much months and or years have you, invested in just writing the books? Let's say.
I'd say years after I did 12 days on the road, the Sex Pistols in America. I did that book and released it in 1990. And after that, I wanted to write a book about Van Halen. And I started writing stories back then. And I kept writing stories, and I would interview writers, and, we would sit and we would talk, and I would, have them transcribed. And then 3+ years ago, Matt Harper at HarperCollins, I called him. He said, "Sounds interesting, Noel. Let's give it a shot." And if it wasn't for Matt, it really wouldn't have happened. Then I got a great agent who got me Joe Layden, who is a wonderful writer. I credit him just for a lot of the success of the book. He said, "I'm an okay writer. I'm not brilliant. He's brilliant." So really, it's been 20 years
Mm-hmm.
in the making because I had a lot of stuff going on in between. And it was hard finding a brilliant writer. They're just not out there. And it all came together when the book company said, "We want it." So I would say 20 years in the making.
20 years in
And
making.
I had to go through literally 2,000 or 3,000 pages of documents. I'm a pack rat. I keep everything. And I had hundreds of legal files and all of that, and pictures, and to make it, all the itineraries, to make it really valid, I wanted to make it, from my source material. And I had a lot of it to go through, Jason. It wasn't a walk in the park.
Mm.
Um, it took a lot of time. My wife would go crazy with the stacks of stuff I have. And I had from the Fillmore East in 68. I have my mic plots when I was working for Bill Graham. When I did Woodstock, I have my notes from that. I moved to England. I have my Johnny Cash tour itineraries. So I really keep everything. And that's one of the reasons I was able to be as accurate as I was. I remembered 80% of it, but take a gap of 25 years, Jason, and we're going to miss stuff.
Yeah.
Without that backup material, it wouldn't have been as inclusive and as correct.
Let's go back in the past there, Noel, and let's say you go back to 1968. Did you suspect that in the future you'll be writing a book, and you'd have to keep all these documents? Because a lot of people don't keep documents, for some reason.
I'm a pack rat. I keep buttons. I keep everything I come across in the music business. And when I was dyslexic. I didn't really read till the 8th grade. And that's why I went to college as an English major because I wasn't going to let that stop me.
Hmm.
And I corrected myself. Everything wasn't backwards anymore, but it took me 3 times as long to read it as it would take you. And in the eighth grade, I said, no, you have a real bad impediment. I want you to write a book someday. And that's when I started writing stories. So, yeah, I did plan on writing a book, but certainly I didn't think of who I'd write it about or what. Just knew I wanted to write a book, for my own
Mm.
peace of mind. And then everybody wanted to know what was going on, and since I never talked, I didn't feel it was appropriate at that time. I was lucky that I drove my wife crazy. And whenever we move with 30 boxes of files and things. And she was very good about it. And she and my daughter really helped me with the book. Because my wife, I met her in 81, and we got married in 83, and she was on the whole 84 tour. So, her memories were essential
Mm-hmm.
to backing up mine.
Do you find that,
Does that help?
and that's awesome, to have that support and help also to write a book like this?
It was essential, Jason. I mean, my wife and my daughter put up with a lot of stuff from me. Frustration, I mean, I would get angry, and I had other projects I was doing, and sometimes it would just go on the back burner for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd come back to it. And with the Sex Pistols, I did it much quicker to the tour. And that book I loved, but I didn't have Joe Layden. And it shouldn't have been in third person. It should have been in first person. So I learned from the mistakes I made, although that book is probably, at times, more exciting than the Van Halen story. And that book is still selling.
Hmm.
Have you ever heard of it, or?
Yes, I've actually have seen it, and it's an interesting book, when you look at stuff like that. And what I find good about these types of books you've written is like you're being the historian as well as helping the future historians that want to catalog certain eras of hard rock and music in general.
Well, I appreciate that. What bothers me is the people who were never there, who never met the band, who never saw a show from 78 to 85, who were writing books.
Mm.
And that's what happened with the Pistol book. All of a sudden, everyone came out as if they were there, and they weren't. And it wasn't like we're writing about Napoleon. We're writing about a current day rock band. Happens to be a brilliant rock band. I had the best guitar player in the world. I had one of the best frontmen in the world. I was a very lucky guy.
Certainly were. What do you think the fascination with Van Halen is, with the people? Because it's like they want to know what's going on in Van Halen's career because for some reason nothing ever gets leaked out, and then this
No,
great
we
book
were
comes out.
very silent. We didn't talk about anything. It was the mystique. And, even like when they're still talking about David's paternity insurance, it never happened. After Edward had a paternity suit, David came to me and said, "No, got to get in paternity insurance." I said, might be a little tough. You got to do it, Noel. You can do it. So I went out looking, and I finally got to Lloyd's of London. Laughed at me.
Mhm.
Are you crazy? We wouldn't insure anyone, let alone David Lee Roth. We don't do that. So I looked at David and said, I'm sorry, man, can't do it. So we just gave it to the publicist. And it's still people writing about it like it happened. Never happened. It was a great story. It was fun. And the one thing that I want you to know, Jason, is this book is fun. It's definitely not a vindictive book. I had a great time.
Hmm.
It was hard, but it was a lot of fun. I'd do it all again. It wasn't easy, but it was fun.
Question outside the book of Van Halen. Have you ever met Jimi Hendrix in your life?
I put him on stage in '78 at the Fillmore East. So yeah, I met him.
Wow.
I put Janis Joplin on stage, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors, The Dead. The Dead were great friends of mine. At the Fillmore, it wasn't one show a night. It was two shows on Friday and two shows on Saturday. And after 10 shows with Janis, we were very good friends. I actually was pouring her Southern Comfort
Mhm.
when I was sitting stage left, watching that everything was going well on stage. And as the stage manager for Bill Graham, I got to meet these people and, get them on and off the stage and get them what they wanted. And Chuck Berry was a very, very dear friend of mine.
Oh wow.
And, Chuck and I mean, we did so many shows together. And I once did him a favor. He had a problem with getting a Y chord. And he said, no, I'm going to play at your wedding, I promise you. And he came from Winchester. He gave me his number. He said, call me. I didn't. I thought it'd be a little presumptuous, but Chuck and I were friends. When you're doing that many shows, Jason, together, you know, 4 in a row times 6, 8, whatever. And you're doing B.B. King, The Who, in the Airplane, and you're madly in love with Grace Slick. I mean,
Hmm.
she was just, oh,
Yeah.
and talented, but a beautiful woman and nice, easygoing to deal with. There were only a few real pains in the neck, and they were tough. But at Woodstock, I go backstage, I guess I was hanging out with, was it Joan Baez? And we had done a lot of shows together, and I was in her tent. And we were just hanging out until I had to put her on stage,
Mhm.
you know. Now, Jason, how much more fun is that?
It doesn't get much more fun than that, I would say. Hmm. That's awesome.
And if you weren't there, how could you write about it?
One question here. Let's say when you get musicians like that, the more humble they are, the farther they go in their lives, would you say? Or, how do you treat the ones that are the assholes versus the people that are truly respectful?
Got to understand. Put yourself in their place. I couldn't do what they did. Get up in front of 15,000 people and put on a show 4 or 5 days a week. The screaming fans. I don't even like to get up on. I mean, at Woodstock, I was reading names of people who lost someone and where they should go for a couple hours.
Hmm.
That was as close as I came to being on stage. It takes a lot of ego to get up there. That's why they call it the ego ramp. You know, a lot of them, some of them were difficult, but they don't have an easy job. I know I couldn't do it.
When you look at all that greatness, it's incredible the names you just placed there. And with these films, because now we're seeing documentaries and all that stuff coming out. Have you seen yourself in some of these old documentaries with Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, let's
Well,
say?
I've seen most of them with the Sex Pistols, because I wasn't really on the deck so much with Van Halen. Um, I'd see myself very occasionally with VH. You know, there was no reason for me to be out there, but with the Sex Pistols, it was a different story. You know, my friend Sid, I had to be there for. You know, and what people think about him is wrong. I don't believe he killed Nancy,
Okay.
and I really have reasons why. I mean, when I was road managing Tom Waits, he was staying at the Chelsea, and there were people roaming the halls and a lot of drugs. And there's one thing I've learned that if you're high on junk, you don't kill people. That's a misnomer. You were happy. And I absolutely don't think that he would have hurt Nancy. He loved her. But anyhow, those are the things that people love to hear about. He killed Nancy. Sorry, I don't believe that.
You find some people like, the more difficult the story can be with complications, it, puts fame to the artist in a sense with the mystique behind it.
Frankly, these writers are full of shit. Excuse me. They don't know what they're talking about. They never met Sid. They never met Nancy. They didn't know these people. How can they make a judgment call? At the time, I would have gotten up on the stand and told them what I felt. I mean, we were friends.
Hmm.
Even after the tour, he would call me up. No, I don't think he did that. But of course, the writers who were never there and never met him love to make up stories.
They like to make
You know,
their
just
own
like,
history.
oh, they make the history up. It's ridiculous.
Mm.
I wish they would shut up and go home. You know, if you weren't there, you didn't deal on the shows, and you weren't part of it, who are you to say anything?
And Noel, let's say for, life in general today, how's it going with you?
I'm a happy camper. Got a beautiful daughter who's 26. I got a wonderful wife. Uh, I'm married in '83. Um, I got a great book out.
Very true.
I mean, what am I complaining about? You know, I'm not a millionaire, but I was, and it went away after a while, and I didn't get what I thought I would get. But that's okay. I'm a happy guy with what I got. I got 2 dogs and a cat. How can you not be happy?
That makes happiness very well, when you look at it like that too. We gotta love your animals.
Yeah, are you kidding? We've always had cats and dogs, and animals are much nicer than people.
That's true.
I really, they're loyal. They keep their bark. They never renege on a bark or a meow. You know, when they're talking about something, they know about the mouse that they got. It's a lot easier.
So Noah, let's say with this new book there, Running with the Devil, how many interviews you've done up till now? Since this release of the book, I'm sure you've been doing a lot of interviews.
I love now doing interviews. I never did them before, but they're fun. Guys like you asking me fun questions, or not so much fun questions. I don't care. But I loved Van Halen. I worked very hard for them. Um, I've probably done, I don't know, 2 dozen interviews. I've enjoyed 90% of them. And these interviewers like you, you're knowledgeable. You've been around. You know what's going on. And I don't know. I find it a lot of fun.
That's good.
It's a good perk. I
What
get to talk to you about my favorite subject, rock and roll.
is almost all of our favorite subjects? We do this with a passion, and to have guests like you, it surely makes things, special.
You're exactly right. I mean, without you, I wouldn't have a book. You guys are important. You guys and you girls. You know, and that's always been the case. Women on the road are important. And
Very.
it really irks me that people downgrade women. They're groupies. Okay, they've got a big part to play in the music business. When we didn't have any women and when we were doing Ozzy, open for him in England, it was horrible. And it was only a month. Couldn't wait to get back to America. American women are wonderful. And so are Parisian women. I'm not
Hmm.
singling them out, but they're an essential part of the music show. Take away women, and you got an angry bunch of people.
Very good
The
point.
band.
Absolutely.
And why put them down? Women are wonderful, groupie or not. Everyone likes to put them down, and not me. I treated them, and the band treated them with ultimate respect that they deserved.
So Noah here to finish off. We all have the same love for Van Halen. The greatness these guys put out. Musically, the way they perform live, just to the way they take pictures. These are fun guys. Have you taken some cool videos of these bands? In your own collection that we've never seen. Let's say, like personal
Me?
concert footage.
No,
No.
I never took videos. The first manager took ones that, when you read about them in the book, were very bad for the band. Stupidest thing I ever saw. Taking salacious pictures of my guys. And this was just wrong. But I was too busy.
Mhm.
I took some pictures. They're in my book. And I got some from like Neil Slozauer, who's a wonderful guy. Good friend of mine still. Great photographer. Neil's pictures on the front cover.
Mhm.
He did my wedding. And a lot of the pictures in the book are Neil's. And I find him to be extremely good at what he does. And he's a wonderful guy. ask for more than that.
That's room. Well, Noel Monk, I've taken 30 minutes of your time. I really appreciate our little chat. In the future, this would be awesome to talk again. Certainly after I get through the book.
To talk to dogs. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
Yes. What's the name of your dogs?
Well, one is named Freud. He's about 40 pounds. And then there's Penny, and she's about 85 pounds. And Bombay is our little black cat. And I think Freud's the one that keeps everyone in line,
Awesome.
including us.
Well, that's
But
good.
no, when I hear people mistreating animals, that's one thing that really burns me. You don't mistreat animals and children. It's just, you know,
It's not good.
they can't defend themselves.
True.
Anyhow, that's another story.
Another story for another time. And oh, I appreciate you taking the time for this interview. Very, very much.
Oh,
Um, super pleasure talking to you.
anytime.
But,
Well, it was a pleasure being here, Jason, and I thank you for your time.
well, thank you.
You know, and I got a very nice interview out of you. I'm kidding.
Oh, good.
But thank you, and you have a great evening.
Excellent stuff.
And don't drink too much.
No. All right. Well, thank you very much, Noel, and would love to talk to you again in the future on other subjects.
That would be great. Thank you, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right.